r/AskReddit. What are the downsides of weed that people don't talk about? Many people just smoke instead of dealing with their problems. On r/trees I'll see people post GF just broke up with me. Getting high AF. I treat it like I would alcohol, only on the weekends and occasionally during the weekdays, and just to have fun and not escape my current life situation. Marijuana definitely needs to be studied more. Up until recently, there haven't been very many scientific studies on the effects of marijuana due to legal issues in the US. That said, there is moderate evidence that acute marijuana use can impair learning, memory, and attention, leading to a reasonable argument that it shouldn't be consumed by those under about 25, since the brain is still developing during that time. It can trigger psychosis if you're susceptible to it already. Like anything else in the world, it can be addictive. Putting anything that's not air in your lungs is bad for you. It makes you okay with being just okay. If you smoke it way too often, you reach shorter term memory gets. Seriously, there was a period in my life when I smoked for 2 months straight, almost a gram a day. My memory was non-existent then. I work in consulting, so I realized it was with my job, so I had to quit. Weed is good, just don't overdo it. The smell. I'm quite sensitive to strong smells as it is. This and tobacco choke me. Even stale beer affects me. Weed is for people that have found their way in life. It's not for people who are looking for the way. My uncle. In other words, as fun as it may seem when you're young, get your together first education, family, career, etc. As a pretty consistent weed smoker, I don't like when people say that weed isn't addicting. They rewrite in saying that it's not addictive chemically like nicotine or something. You can still get addicted to not being sober. Media portrays its effects as more extreme than they are, potentially causing people to have high expectations when they first use it, and thus overusing until they have a very bad trip. Yeah, Breakfast Club stands out to me for this one. I promise that after smoking weed, I've never decided to stand on a desk and start dancing like an idiot with a bunch of people I don't like. Too relaxed to bother. I'm working towards a field where there's a decent potential to be poached. Cold called from prospective employers looking to hire me away from my current employer for a decent pay grade increase and decent benefits. The conversation could go like this: so we have a position for you to start tomorrow 3 miles from your house at $122,000 per year with full medical, including dependents, a pension, a 32-hour work week, alternating between Fridays and Mondays off. Every other weekend is a 4-day weekend. Guaranteed yearly bonus, and a $10,000 cash signing bonus. We just need you to pee in this cup first. I would say that as a long-term smoker that wants out, it has made me incredibly boring. If I have evening plans on the weekend but smoke anything in the day, then I'm far more prone to cancelling those nighttime plans. If I do attend those plans after smoking in the day, then I feel I'm not entirely there. Awkward silences. Jokes don't land. Keeping a conversation going becomes 10x harder, and I'm inevitably just waiting for an appropriate time to leave. Overall, it just kinda makes you socially awkward and super boring to be around in a social setting. Just from my experience. I've noticed after the initial uptick in chatter, people tend to get really quiet and zoned out in their own thoughts. When I used to smoke it, I found it had a dulling effect on my personality and conversational skills after the fact, too. It seems like most of my response has already been said, but I want to reiterate 3 major observations, what I've noticed from my own semi-frequently weed consumption. 1. Demotivation. The impact from weed on motivation levels, I find, is in 2 parts. The first part is, when you initially consume the weed, most people fall into a habit of eating food and watching something on TV. The second part, one found, is the next morning. I experience a type of weed hangover the following morning. I feel more groggy and more susceptible to just loading around the following day. 2. Anxiety. Things that aren't currently stressing you out may start to induce anxiety in you. While this isn't always the case, weed has the potential to worsen your mental state if you aren't careful. This impact became more pronounced when I smoked weed solo. Having other people around allowed me to be more present in the moment, whereas I was in my head when I was alone. 3. Food consumption. I found for me that continued weed use led to some unhealthy eating habits. The munches are real, and for often that not you are craving food that is not considered healthy. If this becomes a more common occurrence, then your overall diet can go south quickly. Cannabinoid hyperemesis and cyclic vomiting syndrome. This thread is giving me more and more motivation to quit in the new year. What I've noticed about excessive use and what's frequently touched upon here is the demotivation. I become a slobbish baked potato for the most part. I'll let everything go until it's anxiety inducing and causes a breakdown, and quitting cold turkey, at least in my experience, can cause sleep paralysis, which is terrifying to say the least. Demotivation in heavy consumers. It is fine in moderation, but multiple times per day seems to suck the ambition from most people I've seen, including myself long ago. South Park said it best. Well, son, pot makes you feel fine with being bored, and it's when you're bored that you should be learning some new skill, or discovering some new science, or being creative. If you smoke pot, you may grow up to find out that you aren't good at anything. There's this idea that exists that driving while high on weed is somehow safe. It really isn't. It makes you drowsy with your reactions time, makes you spussy, aka a bunch of stuff that will make you crash your car and kill someone. This idea among people of like, nah, I'm cool to drive high, is just as dangerous and irresponsible as the people that say I drive better drunk. Frequent heavy use can affect your motivation and mood. Even during periods of not being high, it is habit forming. Not technically addictive, but for some it can be habit forming in maladaptive ways. Bad for your lungs if you inhale combusted flour. After about 10 years of use, my body has developed an allergy that I have never heard anyone else get. When I use THC, my sinus gets inflamed, nearly blocking the airway, forcing me to breathe through my mouth, making falling asleep very difficult. Also, the next morning the budgers I get are relentless. It is like all the stuff is coming back out my sinus. This almost always ends up with minor bleeding nose. I am an alcoholic, so I am definitely not on people who smoke too much, but the hardcore potheads are the most annoying people there are. Like the people who only talk about weed, and all they do is smoke all day every day, and think weed cures everything. Alcohol is definitely worse, but you lines never meet a booze bag who thinks you can cure the flu with a shot of whiskey. Other than annoying me, I'd say burning anything and inhaling the smoke sure as one to be good for your lungs. Also, kids smoke it way too much. I did too, but any drugs are gonna be bad for developing minds. If you re an adult and on tea become annoyingly obsessed with it, then smoke it to your heart's content. Inhaling any type of smoke at all isn't good for your lungs, and that expensive. One thing that I never see brought up is the effect of marijuana on dreaming. Marijuana use can prevent the user from dreaming during regular sleep. When the user stops using marijuana for a while, they can experience night after night of extremely vivid dreams. I can only speak for my own experience, but I have heard this echoed by a co-worker's dad who started smoking again because he couldn't handle having acid trip dreams every night. I suspect that marijuana has some potent effect on REM sleep that will remain underdocumented until it is descheduled and more thorough research can be done. If you use it regularly, it can become super expensive. It's really bad for developing brains, that is, anyone under 25. Because of all the lies people told about how marijuana was the worst drug ever, I was fairly skeptical of this claim. But the recent evidence is pretty clear that marijuana isn't good for development. More people need to hear this, since it changes the conversation quite a bit. Link to a summary article, https://www.nkb.nlm.me.gov/pmc/articles/pmc3930618/. For me, I smoked it for 2 years every day. I don't remember much about those 2 years, even though they should been the most memorable years of my life. Memory loss. Anxiety. Waste your life away on the couch. Mind-blowing anxiety and paranoia. Every time. Not for me, thanks. Just to clarify my position, I fully uphold anyone's right to do what they feel helps with their own body, and am not against weed. If it helps you, I'm happy for you. Wish it was the same for me. Happy New Year. Thank you for watching this video. Leave a thumbs up, comment your own stories, and don't forget to subscribe for new videos daily.